nasty confrontation between police and vendors. Fiji ahead of PNG in trading of goods and services. And tips from the old as Raggianas prepare for the 2017 World Cup.
This is National MTV News with Miriba Tulo.
Good evening and thank you for joining us for Thursday's news. A confrontation between the police and vendors at Waigani Market in Port Moresby has left many people injured. The incident happened last night and again this morning. Currently, the market is closed with hundreds of vegetable bags left inside. Displaced vendors told MTV News that the confrontation is in relation to the New Year rape of 4 females at Morata 1.
A woman who is a market vendor sustained serious injury on her right leg last night when police fired tear gas which landed on her leg and diffused. This morning, a security guard at the Waigani market was chased by the police and they broke his right hand. Another market vendor who came all the way from Rigo in Central Province was hit on his forehead.
Now na Boris man one plus stick in kampai team lo pa side blomina. Face blomina ni puntan close to mitai.
The market vendors went to the Waigani police station this morning to meet with the police station commander, Inspector Michael Yosman, to find out why they were attacked last night. While the PSC was addressing the crowd, armed policemen chased them away and beat them.
Commander one time, assistant commander one time, assistant belongan 2 plus in down. Now we let the belongan you give oral or man lo passing market. You like to go some. Now behind first group of police come inside. Police come inside all no respect him la commander. Na assistant belongan or come na nam to you go number. Na come na Ronnie Mol na karam stick na gun undem come na Rosemol manmri.
The vendors, who were mostly Angans, told MTV News that the police wanted them to bring the culprits, who were also from Enga, who were involved in the Morata pack rape of 4 females during the New Year. However, the vendors say that they are from different parts of Enga and they do not know the culprits. Waigani PSC Inspector Yosman said the Enga community in Morata brought a list of suspects and presented to him. 2 brothers who were involved in a fight before the rape took place were also brought by their father to the police station. So far, 7 suspects have been arrested and detained. Meanwhile, victims of rape said responsible authorities and government have not been vocal about their situation and question why they are vocal about similar incidents that occurred to foreigners. Basinata Yama, National MTV News.
The people of Kokoda depend heavily on the tourists who walk the Kokoda track. Locals have expressed their deepest sympathy for the tourists and anger towards the culprits. They say it will affect their income because the less number of tourists will want to visit due to bad publicity.
The people who rely heavily on the Kokoda track are angry and sad at the same time over the attack to the tourist couple who was stripped of their belongings and raped, says James Inage, the CEO of Kokoda track.
A bit emotional right now simply because of the fact that our people depend on the tourism industry and the major source of income for the local people along the Kokoda track is the tourism market.
Tourism Promotional Authority CEO Peter Vincent said that the number of tourists coming in to walk the Kokoda track had dropped since 2009. In 2009, the highest number so far was 7,500 people, and the latest number was only 3,500.
Figures I think from KDA is that there's about 3,500, less than half. This is as a result of natural causes. But the issue that we have on hand is a result of criminal elements. And you can imagine the impact on the tourism industry, and particularly the trekking industry.
Minister for Tourism Justin Tuchenko also said that the actions like this not only affect the community but the nation at whole. He said that the figures given by the TPA CEO were alarming and the industry would die thanks to such attacks.
When people do these sort of things, they must use their head. They must think before they do these actions. Because it's not just affecting the individual, it's affecting the whole community and people of that area. So whatever punishment these culprits get will not be enough to the damage that they've done to the people of Kokoda.
Inage appealed to other tourists who are planning on coming to the Kokoda track to not change their mind.
The majority of the people along the Kokoda trek are peace-loving, and they do not tolerate such incidents. The people have actually responded to this particular situation by assisting the police and apprehending those suspects to bring them to justice. So to the visitors that are actually coming, on behalf of the innocent, peace-loving people along the Kokoda trek, let me put it to you all that you're all welcome to still come to Kokoda trek.
Adelaide Xerox Kari, National, MTV News.
NCD Governor Powes Pakop says there is no control over the sale and consumption of alcohol in settlements and suburban parts of the city. Governor Pakop told MTV News there is a ban in place but no capacity to effectively implement it. Governor Pakop made these remarks in response to questions raised over the rise in rape and violent incidents within the city.
Increased reports of rape and violence cases in parts of the city has raised great concern among city residents, churches and political leaders. More than 70% of these recent cases are related to the abuse of alcohol. NCD Governor Powes Pakop says the city administration will clamp down by controlling the sale of alcohol in settlements and parts of the city. He condemned the recent rape cases, stating women should not be seen as sex objects.
I don't understand why in this day and age, men continue to do that in our country. Women are not here for sexual gratification only.
Pakop says men can achieve many great things by seeing women and girls as partners in development.
Women and girls working with men, we can achieve a lot for our country and for our people. This is what we should be aspiring for.
Earlier this week, General Secretary of the Catholic Bishop Conference, Father Victor Roch, called on the government and authorities to ban alcohol in settlements.
There be a ban on alcohol in the settlements. The settlements are crime places, especially alcohol-related crimes.
The NCD governor called for equal respect for women and make the cities safe.
Let's change our mindset and start to give more respect to women and girls, make our city safe for women and girls, because when the city is safe for women and girls, it will be safe for everyone.
Pakop says the NCDC management and the NCDC Liquor License Committee will be working closely to combat alcohol abuse in the city. Jacob Harvey Jr., National, MTV News.
One of the country's oldest prisons, Baisu Prison, is run down and is overcrowded with prisoners. Built in the 1970s, 2 of its main holding cells are now run down and not in use. Only 2 are accommodating close to 100 prisoners per cell block. Baisu accommodates prisoners from 3 provinces, including Western Highlands, Jiwaka and Enga.
While the women and juveniles have their own cells, adult males, both convicts and prisoners on remand, are accommodated in 2 cell blocks. And Baisu not only accommodates prisoners from Western Highlands, however Jiwaka and Enga as well. Prison Commander Superintendent Timbi Kaugla says each cell block is accommodating more than what it is supposed to be holding.
There's about 80 to 100 prisoners in one cell, which is too much, and it's overcrowded at the moment.
Baisu has not received any form of funding from these provincial governments, and with operational budget on food for prisoners and fuel for vehicles, there is nothing much the prison can do to improve these conditions.
Currently at the moment, they have been done back in 1970s, and they run down, and we need to maintain those buildings. Provincial government of Western Highlands and Jiwaka to chip in so that we can maintain another 2 run-down cells that are not being utilized now currently at the moment.
The prison has 90 commissioned staff. The commander says this is not enough compared to the huge number of prisoners in Baisu at one given time. While the whole cells are overcrowded, there is a brand new state-of-the-art cell for females not in use. This plus a courthouse were built 2 years ago. However, the project has been put on hold. MTV News understands the project was awarded to a national company. The project, worth 12 million kina once complete, will accommodate female prisoners and needs some space to accommodate male prisoners. Michelle Amber, National MTV News, Mount Hagen.
On a related note, after more than a year, the 24 prisoners who escaped from Baisu prison in Western Highlands are still at large. They escaped in October 2014 in a mass breakout. Prison guards implicated in this breakout are still serving the correctional service while investigations are continuing. Prison Commander Timbi Kaulga refused to comment on the breakout, however, says investigations are continuing. Superintendent Kaulga says he wants prison guards to cooperate with each other to prevent future breakouts. He said all who escaped were prisoners on remand waiting for their convictions when they escaped. This week, Baisu staff and prisoners held a dedication program inviting pastors and missionaries to dedicate this year to the Lord. Prison Commander Timbi Kaulga said bad things have happened in the past, like 2 mass breakouts, and they do not want this repeated this year. He encouraged all prison guards to work with honesty and cooperate with each other. The commander said this would be an annual event for Baisu Prison, where the 13th of January will be a day for dedication and prayer.
Happen again this year. Whatever is going on, we have committed this day, the prisoners and the staffs, to God Almighty, so that we seek the guidance of the Lord Almighty, so that it can guide us by giving us good wisdom and understanding in managing the affairs of the prisoners who are behind the bars in this institution.
East New Britain's fight against homebrew and marijuana trade in the province is much like anywhere else in the country. Homebrew and marijuana are said to be 2 of the main causes of PNG's law and order issues. But for those who are involved in this underground trade, they say the government should provide alternative means to support their lives if it is serious about addressing law and order. In this story, MTV's Kokopo-based journalist Edwin Fidelis was given exclusive access by a group to film this underground trade and why they are involved in this business.
It was getting dark as I was taken to an old banana patch at a secluded location on the outskirts of Kokopo town. At the edge of the garden, a half-filled gas bottle sits on the fire. Beside the fireplace, 8 containers of fermented ingredients are ready to be processed into distilled alcohol or steam. Once processed, a bottle like this can fetch up to 10 kina on the streets. The youths agree to allow us to film this underground trade if only their identities are concealed. Some of the youths who refuse to speak on camera say they have abandoned their cocoa blocks following the arrival of the cocoa pod bora and have switched to producing distilled alcohol as an alternative means of earning an income. All this might not seem as a big problem, but when combined with marijuana, it is serious. Police have reported instances of large quantities of marijuana that are grown and widely distributed in the province. These pictures only gives you a tiny glimpse into the widespread production and consumption of marijuana and homebrew in the country. While the laws have deemed it as a crime, those who produce it sees it as a lucrative business for people who don't have a regular income. Now, numerous attempts by police to break the underground trade link have achieved little results as people continue producing it for fast money. The new growth of illegal settlements on the fringes of Kokopo town has put more burdens on police operations in the province. Former East New Britain Provincial Police Commander Anthony Wagambi Jr. on numerous occasions has labelled these newly established settlements as a hive of criminal activities.
At the back of Kinabot, there are a couple of illegal quarter settlements popping up, and this has been causing a lot of problems for us with the influx of people coming in, the number of unemployed people within the community.
It's understood the East New Britain provincial government is working on plans to address illegal settlement growths and improve the life of unemployed youths in the province. Edwin Fidelis, National MTV News, Kokopo.
Plenty more on National MTV News. The 2nd police officer in the condom saga apprehended. Police to toughen laws on rogue officers, and 2016 declared the year of trade for PNG. Those stories and more coming up next. Welcome back to the news. The 2nd police officer who was accused to have been involved in the condom eating saga in Port Moresby is hours away from being arrested. Port Moresby Police informed MTV News this afternoon that the officer has been apprehended in Nipa, Southern Highlands, and will be flown to Port Moresby tomorrow. The officer, who was previously attached to the Gordons Police Station, is now in police custody. NCD Governor Paul Pakop says the one strike and out policy announced by the Prime Minister Peter O'Neill must be implemented. Governor Pakop said ill-disciplined officers abusing their power must not remain in the force. He made these comments following the rise in abuse by members of the Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary.
I hope that commitment the Prime Minister must carry it through, because it's an embarrassment to our police force and to our country that the personnel who are in charge of protecting our people, keeping them safe and secure, are becoming perpetrators of, abuses on our people, especially women and girls.
The 1998 Police Act will be reviewed to toughen penalties for police officers who step out of line. Police Commissioner Gary Baki announced this following an increase in allegations of police brutality against the Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary. The Act was last reviewed in 1988.
The 1998 Police Act is divided into 11 parts. These parts are again broken up into subsections. Commissioner Baki made the remarks targeting Part 4 and 5 of the Act, which looks at discipline and the principles a RPNGC member is supposed to uphold.
But this organization has a responsibility to stand and do what it's supposed to be doing under the Constitution.
Before independence, the Constitution had two different acts guiding the force. One was for police officers in the Papuan region, created in 1922, while the other for those in the New Guinea Islands, drafted in 1930. In 1955, both acts were amended into what is now known as the RPNGC Act, which was established under the Pre-Independence RPNGC Act of 1965. Since its creation, parts of the Act were reviewed for at least 5 times, the recent in 1998.
That's something the Director of Internal Affairs and I had made a proposition last year, but this idea, the whole idea about this is to get every one of us to come inside and look at how do we strengthen up our process, our disciplinary process, a little bit more than what it is today.
RPNGC remains the oldest institution in the country and has been in existence for over 120 years. Tekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
Police in Leh are currently undergoing a 2-week refresher course on the safe use of firearms, as well as laws dealing with the use of firearms. This training is aimed at minimizing the abuse of police-issued firearms.
Through a public-private partnership with the Executive Security Services, who have brought in experts to train their supervisors, but they've also offered the training to Leh Police to enhance policing. Assistant Commissioner of Police for Northern Region Peter Guinness said this training is to assist officers to understand when and when not to shoot, and also how to handle firearms when pursuing suspects.
It is about time that we go to train our members to give them a refresher course on how to use firearms so that they can be well abreast with the issues and the uses of firearms and the law governing the firearms, when to use firearms and when not to use firearms.
Basically, the law does not allow for police to shoot at a person. The only provision that gives the authority for police to use firearm is under Section 269 and 270 of the Criminal Code Act. This states that if any person's life is in danger, he or she can be able to use minimum force to be able to contain the threat. It is hoped the course will help police minimize court cases brought against police.
It should be an ongoing thing. In Papua New Guinea, our policemen are armed when they go out for duty. So to carry that firearm, you must always go to refresher course. The problem we have is because we don't have enough training grounds.
Last year, the policeman who shot and killed Moana Pisimi was sentenced to a 30-year imprisonment. Pisimi was shot on New Year's Eve following a car chase from Leystop Town to Beck Road. And again, in December last year, a young man, Thomas Keller from Yalibu in the Southern Islands province, was shot by police. Police were pursuing criminals in a blue 10-seater vehicle and were shooting at the criminals when he was shot in the chest. Mata Luis, National EMTV News, Leh.
Papua New Guinea will vigorously pursue trade and investment interests in 2016. Minister for Trade, Commerce and Industry, Richard Maru, said this at his first media conference for the year. He also said that PNG is not ready to sign the PESA Plus agreement because its proposals threaten the development of local industries.
Minister Maru made it clear that Papua New Guinea will not sign up to any trade agreement that will result in the reduction of income derived from the removal of duty. He said this may result in the wiping out of the country's manufacturing sector. The PESA Plus is the Pacific Agreement on closer economic relations negotiated between 14 Forum Island countries with Australia and New Zealand. Mr. Maru said PESA Plus is supposed to be a development-oriented agreement. However, some of its proposals on the trade in goods threaten the development of local industries.
Any trade agreement with Australia, New Zealand and Papua New Guinea and the islands which reduces employment, they'll kill my manufacturing industry by removing tariffs and duty, will never be acceptable in Papua New Guinea. I want to make that very, very clear.
CEO of Manufacturers Council of PNG, Shay Scovell, agreed that PNG's current trade arrangements were okay.
Papua New Guinea already has more liberalised trade than all of the other trading partners together, so we wouldn't have to offer any further concessions.
Mr. Maru said PNG's economy is already distressed from the low commodity prices and will continue to be stressed into the medium term. Deli Waigeno, National EMTV News.
Meanwhile, Minister Maru is unhappy with the trade imbalance that exists between Papua New Guinea and Fiji. Following his recent official visit to Fiji, Mr. Maru was disappointed to find that the current trading of goods and services between both countries falls in favor of Fiji. Fiji exports goods worth over 58 million kina to Papua New Guinea, while PNG exports only 4 million kina to Fiji.
Minister Maru said he spoke with his Fijian counterpart Minister Faiz Koya and raised the trade imbalance issue. Minister Maru noted that after the signing of the MSG trade agreement, PNG saw a significant increase in Fijian goods such as clothes, Fiji water and canned foods coming in. On the flip side, no new products of PNG have made it to the shelves in Fiji.
I didn't see any canned fish on the shelves in the supermarkets there. I couldn't even find coffee in our own hotels, our 2 hotels that PNG owns there. They don't even sell PNG coffee there. It goes to show we've been all asleep, and I accept that the government needs to do its part, but I also call on our private sector to wake up. We've got a trade agreement, and what are they doing about trying to take advantage of the agreement?
Minister Maru is keen to see PNG products such as canned food, sugar, coffee, bilums, SP Lager and fisheries products hit the shelves in Fiji in 2016. PNG will this year hold its first trade and investment roadshow in Fiji, not only to canvass potential consumers of PNG manufactured goods, but also to seek out new investment opportunities for PNG's private sector and SMEs. Mr. Maru believes that investments in Fiji could increase if PNG established a trade commission in Suva.
Obviously, we need a trade commissioner for the Pacific based in Suva, and we're working on a submission now for the person to be, the funds to be provided and an office to be open in Suva. So we have someone that the private sector can talk to every day and support them to facilitate trade between our private sector and potential customers in Fiji.
Minister Maru also delivered an official letter to the government of Fiji through his counterpart minister to help the PNG-owned Pearl Resort Hotel to acquire additional hectares of land for expansion following a very successful 12 months of operations. Deli Waigeno, National EMTV News.
And now a look at the finance news. The kina closed 10 points lower at $0.3315 US in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your kina was buying $0.3240 US, $0.4624 Australian dollars, $0.2944 euro, and 37.83 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold, coffee, cocoa, and copra closed the day higher. Palm oil and copper closed lower, while crude oil closed the day higher. And on the stock markets, the Dow Jones closed at 365 points lower, the ASX closed 40 points higher, and the All Ordinaries closed 39 points higher. You're watching National EMTV News. Still ahead, Ben Micah accepts challenge as new Petroleum and Energy Minister and upgrading of Nadzab Airport. Those stories and more when we come back. Welcome back to the news. Outgoing State Enterprise and Public Investments Minister Ben Micah has accepted the cabinet reshuffle announced by Prime Minister Peter O'Neill. Minister Micah said these changes are not surprises but a move for ministers to be productive. Micah said the decision is final and he respects that.
Minister Micah held a news conference this morning after arriving from official duty travel. He says the reshuffle by Prime Minister Peter O'Neill is under his prerogative as the head of government and cabinet.
He has now decided to make the change at this time, and I respect his decision.
Micah says he was consulted before changes were done to take up the new ministerial portfolio.
The Prime Minister did consult with all of us who have been reshuffled, and all of us are aware of the expectations of the Prime Minister.
Reflecting on his achievements, Minister Micah says there is a lot to do to achieve the government's intended objectives, that is to privatize and be partners to run state entities. Micah is confident incoming State Investment and Public Enterprise Minister William Duma will take the affairs of the ministry forward.
I'm very confident that he will take on the job and continue to implement these initiatives that we have already established. They are the priorities of the coalition government.
A formal handover ceremony will be held next week for Mr. Duma to take office. Jack Lopava Jr., National EMTV News.
Newly appointed Minister for Transport and Infrastructure, Nixon Duban, officially took up his new post yesterday. The minister had a brief meeting with Transport Secretary Roy Momo and announced he will carry on from where the previous minister left. Minister Duban announced that major policy matters of the transport sector will continue to be implemented. He stressed that the regulatory body of the sea, land and air sectors will continue their core functions, while the Road Safety Council will see the creation of a new board. The minister assured partners and donors that the office will continue to work with them to ensure government initiatives are implemented. Minister Duban is one of the 6 ministers reshuffled by Prime Minister Peter O'Neill this week. Public servants have called on the national government to pay the outstanding 2.1 billion kina owed to Number One Super and for Number One Super to continue paying retired public servants their superannuation. Public servants who were represented by the Council of Public Sector Union met today with various union members including police, teachers and the Nurses Association to express their disappointment. They have given the government until April to pay outstanding debts or face a nationwide stop work.
Public 0.1 billion kina outstanding or face the consequences of the public servants leaving their offices. The meeting, which consisted of nearly all the public servants associations, asked the government to meet with them to address the issue at hand.
By the first quarter of this year, if this is not settled amicably, the entire public service will come to a standstill.
Yes.
These are the representatives of the public sector unions. Nurses will walk off, doctors will walk off, teachers will walk off, policemen will walk off, correctional service officers will walk off. We will switch off the power of everybody, demanding that the government settles this 2.1 billion prior to that. This is our demand.
The council said after the meeting that they have recognized the fact that Number One Super, as of this year, will stop paying out superannuations. The union said that Number One Super and the government are liable to these actions because it is by law that the public servants must be paid their superannuations.
The COPSU recognizes the denial by Number One Super Board and the state in paying the superannuation monies that are due legally, rightfully to the contributor.
Ugwalubu Moana, General Secretary of PNG Teachers Association, said that so many public servants have already passed away, waiting for the government's commitments for the services they have provided to the nation.
We need the money. People are dying. People are finishing work. They own that money. You pay it. So we are calling on the government to also give us the schedule of repayment of this outstanding money to number 1 super.
The Council of Public Sector Unions is currently trying to arrange a meeting with the Prime Minister Peter O'Neill to have the issue addressed as soon as possible. EMTV contacted the Prime Minister's office to get comments, but no response has been received as of yet. Adelaide Sirox Curry, National EMTV News.
The new Australian High Commissioner to Papua New Guinea, Bruce Davis, today paid a courtesy visit to the University of Technology in Lae, where he met with university staff and Vice-Chancellor Dr. Albert Schramm. Bruce Davis has been travelling to various parts of the country to establish links with various organisations and to familiarise himself with the country. Speaking after the meeting today, he said Australia would be looking at furthering relationships between Australian universities and the University of Technology. Unitech already has existing relationships with universities in Australia, including Charles Sturt.
That we continue to look at new ways of ensuring that the university, importantly that the university can twin with Australian institutions and ensure that there are strong links developed between this institution and the Australian counterparts. The Vice-Chancellor was listing a number of Australian universities where there are already connections here. We've got to build on that.
Nadzap Airport in Lae will see initial construction work on its upgrade in 2018 as part of ongoing efforts to improve Papua New Guinea's major airports. At the end of last year, Kagamuga in Mount Hagen was opened and work on Goroka's airport was announced.
By 2017, the first physical evidence of work on the new Nadzap airport will happen. It is estimated the job will cost some 18 million kina as part of the government's infrastructure rollout program for major airports in the country. Part of that rollout happened this afternoon, the arrival of 2 fire appliances to be used by the airport fire services. The trucks will replace the aging equipment and improve emergency response time.
Fire trucks in already as part of the improvement of Nadzap, and then we'll move on to the actual runway. The improvement will start on the runway, fire station, control tower, and the terminal building.
Airport staff from Nadzap have been trained on the use and maintenance of the appliances. This marks a significant attitude change in the long-term upkeep of vital equipment.
We also had a delivery of vehicles that went to Mount Hagen last week, and next week our 2 vehicles will be in Rabaul.
Today's event is part of a nationwide effort to improve major airports by 2018. Nadzap's look will also be transformed into a 21st century port. Scott Wide, National EMTV News, Lae.
Trukai Sports is next, and well wishes for the Raggianas as they prepare for the 2017 World Cup.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. As the Papua New Guinea Raggianas prepare for the 2017 World Cup, they met with players from the 1976 Women's Port Moresby Rugby League competition who wish them well as they prepare for the World Cup. Dion Kombeng reports.
Women who were a part of the 1976 Port Moresby Rugby League competition were at the PNG Rugby Football League office in Port Moresby, where they met the current National Women's Rugby League team, the PNG Raggianas.
We're going back to the roots. We discovered that Women's Rugby League was played. I was thinking it was the 80s, but I've just discovered it was in the 70s. The heroes are here, and they're coming here with their stories. They're coming here with their experiences they've had, and to bless our campaign as well.
The women who played in the 1976 POM RFL competition brought along photographs and newspaper articles from their league playing days and the 1976 Premiership Shield. They also had encouraging words for the current Raggianas and offered advice and support to the team.
Always pass the ball. Don't go flat. When you get the ball, you don't go flat. Always go forward. And look around. Where you going to pass it this way or that way? You must always look around.
The important thing is discipline. We have to respect our coaches, our trainers, and the captain on the field. We have to abide with our laws. We have small rules we made.
A representative from the Raggianas thanked the women for their time and said the women's team was grateful for their support. The PNG Raggianas will now set their focus on their campaign for the 2017 Rugby League World Cup. Dion Kombang, National EMTV Sports.
17-year-old Baimoruless Lynette Vai will be representing Papua New Guinea in the Oceania Squash Championship this weekend. Vai is currently the top junior women's PNG squash champion and is the only woman attending this championship in the under-19 division.
3x 2015 Pacific Games squash gold medalist Lynette Vai is currently preparing for the Oceania Squash Championships. She has been placed 4th ranking in this competition. After coming out on top in her first Asian Open in Singapore last year, Vai has gained a lot more confidence. This will be her 3rd Oceania Championship to attend to, and her main rival will be the New Zealand female who is currently the Oceania champion.
The New Zealand #1 I lost to in the recent Commonwealth Youth Games, so I'd like to face her again and see how I go again against her.
The Baimoruless is confident that she will go out there and perform to the best of her ability and to improve and to make it into the professional level. Lynette is currently preparing for the Squash Oceania Championship that is going to be held at the Gold Coast, which she is leaving this Friday. Mai Koime, National EMTV Sports.
The Papua New Guinea Billiards and Snooker Association have announced the train-on squad for the 2016 Oceania Snooker Championships in Sydney next month. Vice President John Chan said a training program has been prepared for the players to follow.
Players have been selected from all over the country. The train-on squad will be trimmed to 4 men, 4 women, 2 juniors and 2 referees. The Oceania Snooker Championships will be held at Mounties, Mount Pritchard in New South Wales, Australia from February 25th to March 5th this year. The men's train-on squad consists of the Fong brothers, Arua Simoy, Kelly Yambi, Noel Ramos, Ralph Kaina and Willie Vaeke. The women's team consists of 8 women including women's champion Gewa John. 5 juniors and 6 referees have also made the train-on squad. Vice President John Chen said, "This may be the only time when PNG snooker players have the opportunity to represent the country on the international stage." Elijah Lavette, National EMTV Sports.
And Trukai Sports continues after the break. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. English team Sheffield Eagles have added Papua New Guinea international Mark Mexico to their full-time squad for 2016. The 26-year-old has agreed to a 2-year deal.
Sheffield Eagles have further strengthened their squad for next season after completing the signing of prop forward Mark Mexico from the Newcastle Thunder. The 26-year-old Anger and Hanover lad has agreed to the 2-year deal. The Papua New Guinea international made 17 appearances in all competition last season in championship, one after moving to English shores following a spell with NRL side Cronulla Sharks. Mexico joins international teammate and Eagles center Minzi Yere, making the step up into the Kingston Press Championship. He has come a long way, making his rugby career flourish from Kamkumu Crushers before joining the Lace Snakes Tigers, and in 2014 Mexico joined the Hunters season in the Queensland Cup. Mark is an explosive player and showed that in the 2013 World Cup with some exciting performance for Papua New Guinea. Mike Hoime, National EMTV Sports.
To football, and the dates and venues have been locked in for OFC Stage 2 of the Women's Olympic Football Qualifiers as Papua New Guinea and New Zealand get set to challenge for the lone berth for Oceania at Rio 2016. The first leg of the Olympic playoff will get underway on the PNGFA Academy pitch in Lae on the 23rd of this month with a 2 p.m. scheduled kickoff.
Papua New Guinea qualified for the Olympic playoff during Stage 1, which was held alongside the 15th Pacific Games in July. Fiji, the Solomon Islands and Tonga were knocked out in the group stage, while losses in the respective semi-finals meant Samoa and the Cook Islands were also eliminated from contention.
How many soccer players you can name that are named after the country that they play?
By virtue of their world ranking, New Zealand is seeded through to Stage 2, where they will meet the winner of Stage 1 in a two-leg home and away playoff. History leans favourably towards the Football Ferns, who are the two-time defending champions, having toppled Papua New Guinea in both 2008 and 2012. After respective 8-0 and 7-0 victories during that playoff in 2012, New Zealand went on to perform outstandingly, making it to the quarter-finals of the Olympic Games Women's Football Tournament for the first time. The two teams will head to New Zealand for the second leg encounter, which is scheduled for kickoff on January the 26th. Jeremy Moggy, National, EMTV Sports.
The National Sports Institute in Goroka will undergo minor upgrades to some of its facilities. Facilities will be upgraded to accommodate the Under-20 Women's World Cup team later this year.
Constructed staff accommodation will be completed later this year. NSI is going through a restructure which includes recruiting physical education teachers, gym instructors and more this year.
Physical education lecturers and sports and excellence officers, physiotherapists, gym instructors, so those are part of the new development that will be developing this year. And of course we have the indoor complex that was built, which is something that will contribute to sports with indoor requirements.
The National Sports Institute will also be preparing for the PNG Games that will be held in Kimbe in November.
Program that will be assisting the PNG Games is through the National Sports Conference that we have planned, and then we'll be inviting guest speakers and of course sports and exercise science specialists to present papers on how the industry can grow and how provinces can improve their performance at the PNG Games.
The Institute has thanked the government for their continuous support to its sports education in the country. NSI, in conjunction with the University of Goroka, has seen students going for lessons at the Institute to further their knowledge. Jeffrey Gideon has encouraged sporting codes in the country to train at the National Sports Institute.
Again, the National Institute is for Papua New Guinea and for all sporting bodies and everyone that wants to come and use the place. You are more than happy. You can contact us through the director.
Elijah Lavette, National EMTV Sports.
And then in Shukai Sports, we'll have for you the weather details for the next 24 hours after the break.
Shukai Sports. True Kai Sports.
Taking a look at the weather forecast for the next 24 hours. First of all, in the southern region, mostly fine in Port Moresby and Kerma, fine in Daru and Alotau, and brief showers in Popondetta. To the Momase region, brief showers expected in Lae, while Medang, Wewak, and morning showers in Vanimo. To the New Guinea Islands region, a few showers expected in Lorangau, brief showers in Kavieng, Kokopo, Rabaul, and Kimbe, and fine weather in Buka. And in the Highlands region, evening showers expected in all major centres. And to end tonight's bulletin, recapping our main stories for tonight. Nasty confrontation between police and vendors in Port Moresby, Fiji ahead of Papua New Guinea in trading of goods and services, and tips from the old as Raggianas prepare for the 2017 Women's Rugby League World Cup. And that has been the news, sports and weather for tonight, the 14th of January 2016. On behalf of the EMTV News team, I'm Mary Batulo. Pleasant viewing. Good night.